Doodlebud here, doing the follow-up review after my initial impressions of the new Asvine V800. You want to know how it's been going for me? Well, I got to tell you, fantastic. This, honestly, I think, at least to me, this is the best pen they've made yet. I don't have all of their pens, but of all the ones I've got my hands on, I like this one the most. So I'm going to go through, give you a little bit of findings I have with it. Also, this is going to be a giveaway, so let's just give you the details right now. For the giveaway, folks, you just want to drop a comment and enter into it. Don't want to watch the rest of the video, that's fine. First, you have to be a subscriber. Second, you got to leave a comment. Third, I will do the draw October 24th. So that's a Friday. I use a random comment picker to pick one down from below. Just so you know, I usually on these types of videos get 700 to 1,000 plus comments. So if you happen to leave a comment and you're asking me a question, there's a good chance I probably won't be able to reply because I just can't handle that many comments. But we'll do it that way. You will be selected at random if you win. I will tag you and leave you a note so you'll get an alert. Don't respond to people who are trying to imitate that they're me. Sometimes there are scammers out there. That's the details for the giveaway. Let's give you the details of the pen. I went through quite a bit of info on my initial unboxing, so definitely check that video out. I will have a link down in the description. These were kindly provided to me by Asvine for review and a couple for the giveaway. This is the one I'm keeping. This is the brown and white swirl. It is equipped with this nice number 8 size stub nib 1.1. I am going to do a comparison. I'll dip these ones, but I'll do a comparison between one is a fine, medium, and then the stub. They also have a little bounce to them, so I'll measure how much the line variation is with those pens so you can get an idea as well, because I know sometimes it's one of the most stressful parts, at least for me, when buying a pen. It's not so much the color, sometimes yes, but it's the nib, because I have to think, well, I have so many different nibs. What's the right nib for this pen? So I try to think of the use case, how I'm going to use it. Am I going to grind it? What will this be used for? And what's the best nib for that option? So I sometimes really stress about that. So I'll do the writing sample and line measurements. So hopefully that helps you out. Some folks just, they pick medium or they pick fine and like all their pens are that. So they to make it easy. The colors that you see here. So this is the brown and white. This is the blue and white. I don't know if the lighting is doing it justice, but there you go. There are more colors on their website. Well, they sell mostly through Amazon. So anyways, I'll have links down there. And this is the blue and brown swirl. So each pen will be a little different. You might say, oh, that looks really nice, but yours has less white or less brown or not as swirly. You know, they make these big rods of this acrylic resin. There's all sorts of swirls in it. Each batch is a little different. Each rod is a little different. Each portion of the rod. So when your pen blank goes into the lathe and auto feeds, that your chunk will be different than the next chunk. So again, there will be variation in how they look, but there's a general idea. As far as pen performance goes, I've been daily carrying this here since I got the pen. It has been absolutely fantastic. No issues. One little thing I'll point out that the seal has been great. You do get a little bit of ink sloshiness here in the cap. This happens on pretty much all pens. If it's, you know, translucent like this, where you can see in there a little bit, you see it. But here's the thing. I like how it's done on these types of pens where the cap seal is done against the end of the section on this flange here, because what that does, you have a little step down. If we get the focus, maybe you see it there. There's a little flange. There's a little step there. It goes against the flange here at the end. That's how it seals up. Now, fountain pens, sometimes they'll burp, or if you know, I have this in my bag, so it gets bumped around, little splotches of ink get out there. I like that it's in this part on the feed and the nib, and when you take the pen out, the section is nice and tidy and clean. So I like when pens seal that way because it just ensures the section is going to be clean, because ink does get out of a fountain pen sometimes, and that way it's staying on the nib, on the feed, not on your fingers. I haven't been using these pens. I want to keep them in pristine condition for the winners. Like I said, I'll do a dip test with writing so you can see that at the end. The stub has been performing great. Every now and then, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 times it happened over the past several weeks. The very first part of a stroke, sometimes it would miss that first, I don't know, 1 to maybe 2 millimeters, and then it would fire it up. Only happened a couple times. I find that happens every now and then with stubs. Also, it all depends. If, you know, whenever I store the pen, this is always closed. And typically when I use the pen, I get ink on my fingers, of course. When I use the pen, I replenish the lower reservoir. and let the ink fill up, and then I close it. So sometimes it could just be a matter of I used up all the ink. There's no new ink flow. I have done that way. I've been writing with it, and then it dries up. Nice thing with this one, it's getting all over me. When I open it, it replenishes the ink right away. I've had some pens where it takes a little bit for the ink to flow from here to here. On this case, as you can see, it comes out no problem. That's what happens when you touch the feed on a fountain pen that's inked up. Let's put this one away so I don't get more ink on my fingers. I haven't had any problems with the pen, but one viewer mentioned, I don't know if this happened to them or they pointed out it could happen. So when you write with the pen, you can leave it like so, but inevitably you'll deplete the ink down here. You got to take some from here. You can just leave this open. You see this? It only has to back off a touch. There's a little O-ring. I will take the pen apart, but there's a little O-ring down there that seals the ink up here from the ink down here. Eventually you run out, so you just back it off a little bit and you can see it pull back. That's really all you need, maybe another little turn. But he was mentioning if you unscrew this all the way and then put the cap on and you're writing and all this stuff, it's going to be a wiggly cap because this is totally loose. And then if you pull this off, you can pull the rod back. Like depending how hard you cap it, you could pull it all the way back. And now you're in this precarious situation because when you plunge this down, ink comes out. So to that, I just say, just don't have the cap all the way backed off. You don't need to. Just a couple turns, ink will flow. You can still post it, and it's not going to do anything. So that's the solution to that. The cap seal has been great. Zero problems with nib dry out. Very comfortable in their hand. Like I said at the start, of all the Asvine pens I've used, this is my favorite. I really enjoy it. The bounciness to the nib, especially, it's really fun on the stub. If you want to see my initial video and the writing and all that stuff, go to that video, check it out. You can see that. I'm just going to do a super quick writing sample today on these pens, but super comfortable. I can see this could be too big for some folks. In that case, go for the V126. It's a smaller size of this pen. It also only has a number 6 size nib, but this is a great pen. But if you want something a bit bigger nib, it's good. Like build quality is fantastic. Zero problems whatsoever. Super comfortable. I've been very impressed. They've just continually improved the quality of their pens. One issue that has come up with some of their other vac fillers, let's get the other one here. So the V200, the V126 has to do with the cap here at the end. I pointed this out on my initial impressions video, is the threads here at the very end a little bit smushy, and they'll end up kind of chewing on the acrylic knob here at the end. Now, I haven't had this happen to me, but some people reported that eventually these threads get chewed up and they're stripped out. I haven't had that happen. I do see some initial collateral damage. You'll see some little bits that get on there. But for me, it's it gets to a certain point and then it's okay. But it all depends on the threads on the pen that you have. They could have a larger burr, an aggressive burr, and it ends up just actually really stripping out the acrylic. The way they've made adjustments here, again, I don't know exactly what they've done. Let me get some focus. The edges are much cleaner around the flats. You can see a teeny little bit of stuff, but I've opened and closed this knob just a whole bunch. I feel more confident on the longevity of this part. I don't see it coming out. Again, I only have a couple here, but for the ones that have had that problem, it seems less likely it will be a problem. No guarantee it won't happen, but it just seems much less likely you'll run into an issue. Obviously, the ultimate solution for that, you have a brass part here that's plated. You could just get just a thin wall piece of brass or a higher grade plastic like a Delrin, something like that as a liner, and that would probably help quite a bit. Those have been my impressions with the pen, which is a very good impression. I've really enjoyed using this, especially every single day and carrying it around. What I'm doing, I'm looking for the little wrench here. Here we go. So some people might want to know, how do you take this pen apart? First of all, what I'm going to recommend is you don't take it apart. So the one thing with vac pens, for the folks that must have their pens absolutely sparkling clean, cannot have a single drop of water or ink in here after you clean it or before you switch. My advice is just try to tamper that desire to actually get rid of every single dot. I did my dip test before this part of the video, so I'm filming this in reverse, and you can see there's a little splotch of ink. Before I send this off to the winners, I'm going to do my best, but there might be a tiny little drop here or there. that's okay. But they do supply the tool. But what I'm going to say multiple times here is try to avoid taking the pen apart as much as you can. If you are going to do it, here are some tips. Put your wrench on. Let me get some focus. Hopefully we stay in focus, but you put your wrench on. Instead of turning the wrench, hold this still and then just turn the pen body. I find is just a little bit better and you're less prone to over torquing things. So you pop that off. Go back into the business end here. This is the filling system. You got your little O-rings and whatnot. They supply spare ones here in the little baggie. Okay, so you got stuff there. And as you can see, it's a little bit shiny. There's a teeny little bit of silicone grease. You have to make sure that some stays on there. So if you really wipe this off and it's dry, no good. You got to grease it. I recommend putting a little on your fingers and then just doing that to it. That's all you're going to need. Then you can get in here, flush out the pen if you really need to. You can use a troublesome ink. In here, they say don't use like carbon style inks. It can clog, and that's a true statement. Also, I think that's more just to avoid the potential, you know, some inks could stain. Some of those pigmented or carbon-based inks can stain in here. They can make it harder to clean out. Then you can get the temptation to use a chemical, which could damage things. So I think that's more of a, you know, cover their butt kind of thing to avoid people doing silly things with their pens. But if you really want to, you can just unscrew the nib unit like so. Put it back in. Please don't lose those O-rings. I don't think there's spares for those. I could show you. There we go. So I don't think they supply any of those spares, and they're kind of small. They're clear, easy to lose, so be mindful. Put it back in again. Just twist the body. And in this case, you're a little bit less likely to misalign the nib. I like to hold here, or you could hold here. You can damage the fins if you do this. So I just hold on the shoulders, snug on the body, and that's really all you need to do. Reinsert. Please observe there's this little ring here in the back, the direction if you happen to take it off. You can see we have a little relief for it to fit over top of there. Don't put it on the wrong way and then snug it down. You're going to break the pen. So again, these are just reasons if you can. Just avoid taking the pen apart. I only show this stuff so if people want to know, you know, what to do and how to do it, you can. Honestly, it is very rare. Outside of one of my videos, I take a pen apart. And for torque, don't move the wrench. Just hold it steady, turn, and a little tiny, that's it. Good enough. It's just a little acrylic bodied pen. You're back together. But again, try to minimize the frequency of which you do that. That's it. That's all I want to say. The pen has been working fantastic. I think it's really good. I'm going to do a little writing sample. I'll measure the widths of the nibs, all that kind of stuff. So let's get that done. The paper will be some Clairefontaine. The ink will just be my big jumbo bottle of Jinhao Blue. So I noticed this right away when I was writing. The samples almost look the same. Keep in mind, I dipped it, so it's not 100% accurate. But if we look at the fine and the medium, they look identical. And I measured the line width, so we're getting about 0.6 on the downstroke, unflexed 1 millimeter when you flex it. Maybe you can get more. Don't go any more than what I did. You will regret it. About 0.5 millimeter on the cross stroke, and the medium, essentially the exact same numbers, maybe a touch thicker on the cross, but again, there's errors in measurement accuracy. So yeah, even I did, regular pressure here and a little more flexy down there at the bottom. Like, those look identical. Now, I did look at the nibs under my loop, and I noticed on the fine, the tying gap, I would consider it to be a little too wide than it should be for a fine point nib. So I think it's just writing a bit wet. Here's the thing, for the winner, if whoever chooses the fine point nib, if you want me to leave it as is, I will. If you want me to get that tying gap, what I would think to be the right size of a gap, that will reduce the line thickness here too. You'll still have great flow, but I think it'll be a little bit thinner, maybe 0.45 millimeters, something like that. It does seem just in general a little thicker for a fine point nib, but depends if we're talking what brand and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, at least for these two that I have here, sample size of 1, which is useless, but those are the measurements. And off camera there, I figured let me just do the stub. So on a regular downstroke, no pressure, you're getting pretty close to 1.1. If you flex it, 1.6, maybe 1.7, and then about 0.5 millimeter on the cross stroke. And so you can see the difference in the lines there. And flexy, no flexy on the downstrokes. Looks good either way. The nibs are very smooth and they feel nice. They have a nice little bounce. It's quite an enjoyable writing experience. So that's it, folks. Good luck to everyone on the draw. Don't forget, subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment. I'll try to answer to the ones that are just beyond contest entries. But again, it's tough on these types of videos. You'll want to subscribe because I'm also going to be reviewing these new Jinhao 20s. And OMG, these things... These things are fantastic. So fantastic. I ordered 3 more because I want to do some fun stuff to the nibs with grinding and lasers and whatnot. Oh, sorry. This isn't the Jinhao 20. This is a real vanishing point. This is the Namiki one. Here's my other Jinhao 20. So anyways, I've been carrying these 3 together. The real deal and these 2 Jinhao 20s, one with a fine, one with an extra fine. Blown away by those. This thing, of course, I love it, but just thought as a comparison. So you want to make sure to check out that video when it comes out. We'll leave it there. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.